Welcome to the Nurtured Nerds Epic podcast.
Come join us and get cuddly, get gaming, get nerdy, and get nurtured.
Woohoo. Here we are. We've got Alyssa back with us. This is so awesome. I love it. We're doing episode 25. I'm Mary, and I am actually in Boquete, Panama right now for a couple months, and it's been wonderful. It's nice and warm outside. I am a professional cuddler. I've done cuddle party, I've done group events, I've done workshops on relationships and consent. So I'm excited to be here and talk about connection, and especially on Valentine's Day, which is a holiday, focused on connecting. And Alyssa, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Alyssa, also known as the IRL support main. I'm going to change that here, actually. I'm going to rename myself. Because I think it's very important to show up in the space that you want to be in the way that you want to show up. So being mindful of that. And that is a big area that I focus on in my work is mindfulness of how you relate with yourself, how you relate with others, and holding space of presence and awareness for that. I started Nurtured Nerds very much from this perspective of being a cuddle therapy practitioner, and also someone who was just starting out being a gamer, a nerd about gaming and role playing and stuff like that. There's so many facets of it, and it sort of evolved into more of this general just thirst for knowledge and like gaining ways of supporting others, holding people in a space of unconditional positive regard. And I've over almost the last year, I've been studying energy medicine as well. And so now I'm getting more into creating sacred space and ceremony. So it's just really fun exploration, and that's where I'm at right now. I just moved. I finished moving on Thursday, so it's now Sunday. Definitely one of the hardest experiences. I'm sure everyone here can relate at some level. So but welcome everyone. This Gita wants us all to know this is the podcast where the nerdy meet the cuddly and gamify wellness. And episode 25 today, we are nerding out on Valentine's Day and everything that is related to it. So for anyone who's nerdy or lonely or skeptical of the holiday, we want to address ways that we can navigate that, experience that occasion, either in single player mode, on your own, or in co-op mode with a player 2, or maybe a player 3 or 4, however many players you want to have in that scenario. So someone special, even if you're that someone special, or maybe there's multiple special someones. So we're going to delve into that, and as usual, talk about some nerdy things and some cuddly things, and let you know what's going on in the Nurtured Nerds community. And of course, we'll tell you more about our raffle for new members to win a care package. So hopefully you can come join us for this podcast, this discussion, and find out more about our community of cuddlers, gamers, and geeks.
Yay! Yeah, so good to have you back co-hosting. So we have a panel with us today, and they're all going to introduce themselves. And when you introduce yourself, you guys, tell us what you're drinking. Because today I'm just drinking water, which is my favorite, which, I love water. What are you drinking, Alyssa?
So I brought the same mug as last time, which is my Big Hero 6 mug. And I'm drinking some Earl Grey tea with almond milk. I used my frother to make a nice little froth on top.
I was going to say, it looks like frothy something goodness on there. That's awesome. Yeah, home frother is amazing and really easy. If you haven't tried one, you guys should get one.
Yeah, it's really fun. I've enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a panel to talk about Valentine's Day. Let's see who would like to go first. Introduce yourself. Suze, please. Yeah.
Yes, I go by many names. Hi, I'm Susan Lee, aka Blaze or Suze. And I am a professional cuddler, event leader, and more nerding out on alternative power generation. So that's kind of calling to me right now, helping a friend out with that project. Currently in Pennsylvania at Penn State. So that's part of what's alive in me. And what I'm drinking out of my inhale exhale mug is some tea, and it is a clean fusion of aniseed, fennel, and cardamom. So it's kind of like a detox, but it's just really tasty.
Oh, excellent. What kind of nerd do you consider yourself?
I nerd out in a lot of things. Like I said, I'm working on this alternative power project with my friends. So I'm interested in all things that certainly nurture us and help us relate and connect with each other better. But I also like a lot of fantasy and sci-fi type experiences and games. I like a lot of novel things, and I love learning and personal growth. So I'm an explorer. That's just bottom line. I'm an adventure explorer, and so I just nerd out on anything that helps me along that path.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, how about Bruce next?
Hi, I'm Bruce. I'm drinking some leftover Snapple from yesterday because the rest of the Snapple I was using with a little extra, I'm going to call it meditation technology. It was some psilocybin. And it got me in a deep, I'm currently nerdy about meditation because I'm exploring ways to get to something like a 6-month retreat in 6 hours, which is like 6 months is hard for us to do. But we can sometimes get a week in, and I'm seeing if we can actually get the full-on altered state of a 6-month retreat in a much shorter time frame. So that's what I'm really currently nerdy about. But in regards to the Valentine nerdiness, I used to write romantic comedies. And I wanted to learn more about the history of romance and how this developed and how all of these things evolved over time. And I learned the mythology of it. And it scared me so much that I am advocating that we call this not St. Valentine's Day, but Healthy Relationship Day, because romance is about drama, folks. And,
Well, yeah, let's talk about that later.
yeah, we will.
But put in that because I want to talk about that.
That's what I'm nerdy about today, anyway.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. And we also have Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany, I am from Pittsburgh. So that's where I'm at. I am drinking single-use plastic pH balanced water to see if that's going to be better for me. So it's just an experiment. I feel bad about the plastic, but here I am. I am kind of in transition, but I am very nerdy about gardening and plants and animals and bugs and fungi and all the little things in the ground and in the forest and in the places where they don't look like forest, little corners of the city that have things growing. So there's that, and a lot of sci-fi is what I'm kind of focusing on at this point too. So those are my nerdinesses.
I got really excited when you were talking about that first thing, the nature thing, because I just watched Fantastic Fungi on Netflix and I really loved it. I'm definitely in that space too.
Yeah, I love gardening too and growing things and all the green things you can grow. And to cross that over with sci-fi, there's a scene in Red Dwarf where the robot has his garden and he talks about like all the things that I made grow, and that made me think of that scene. So sci-fi as well.
I'm sorry for jumping in. I love Red Dwarf, and I'm trying to think
Red
of that scene, and I can't think of the scene where Crichton grows a garden. So I'm gonna have to look at them all again.
Yeah, it's the one where they meet him on the Nova 5, and he's got his garden, and he's kind of sad to leave it when he goes off with the guys in Red Dwarf. But anyway, yeah, check it out. I love Red Dwarf. Yay, Red Dwarf. Okay. Well, let's talk about Valentine's Day. Alyssa, do you wanna go first and tell us what it means to you?
Yeah, I was just looking up Red Dwarf because
Oh.
I got excited I got secondhand excitement.
Ah,
and I
yeah.
wanted to be a part of it.
Oh, okay, sure. I mean, it's a gorgeous scene where they find this cross ship, and there's this robot that's been sitting there for 5 million years by himself, and he has grown a garden, and he's made up his own little world, and as he's lived on the ship by himself for so many years, this robot that just outlived everybody. And he says, yes, I have this garden and all the things that I may grow. And I think of it every time I think of gardening. So yeah, it's really a beautiful moment, actually. So yeah, highly recommend.
So what were you asking me?
Oh, I was saying, shall we, what do you think, Alyssa, should we talk about Valentine's Day now?
I actually would love to talk about Healthy Relationship Day. Yeah,
yes.
I think Valentine's Day has been talked about a lot, but there has not been as much discussion about Healthy Relationship Day. I love that, and I want to start calling it that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did notice that Gita, in his infinite wisdom, did put a question specifically about the more commercialized version of Valentine's Day. That is a good thing to address, because that does inform a lot of people's experiences around this holiday. So I'm okay with talking about that, from that shifted perspective. Thank you, Gita. So the question is, what does Valentine's Day mean to you? Is it just a marketing gimmick for various companies, jewelry, card, candy, to make more money? Does it have value beyond the commercialization, beyond the capitalism, as a reminder and celebration of love and connection? So what is your experience?
Are you asking me or someone else?
And yeah, I'm just leaving that open. I know in the Nerd Break that I've started hosting monthly, Bruce says that we pick an order. Whoever is first on your screen goes. And we can do that if that works better. Sometimes
that's easier in a Zoom meeting because everybody waits for everyone else to step in, right?
Yeah. So
we're all so polite with each other.
For me, it's Blaze. Blaze, do you want to speak?
Yes, I'd be glad to speak. So yeah, what does Valentine's Day mean to me? Well, first I acknowledge that this has been a long time holiday created. I don't know the exact history of when it was created, but it has become very commercialized, very much about making money. I mean, roses literally are like double, triple the price during this time of the year. Dinner reservations, just all these elaborate things, card giving and all that. And I'm a hopeless romantic, so I love romance, and back to the drama and speaking to all of that when we get into that part of the discussion. But what I've looked at more recently, and similar to why we're calling this Healthy Relationship Day, is it's a choice. I'm appreciating that there is an acknowledgement of love, an acknowledgement of romance. We just need to each find what that means to us. So I'm grateful that there's this pause, this moment that we humans take to take a look at that. But I look at it through a very different lens. And I'm always questioning that of what it really is for me. What is romance? What is love? What is connection? And it's what's healthy for you, for each individual. So it is very personal. And for me personally, it's acknowledging, like I sent cards to my girlfriends, especially girlfriends and even my mom now, because they're single. My mom lost my dad. So it's to acknowledge people on all different levels of loving, people that I love in my life, and maybe someone that might need a little extra in that, because it can bring up things in people of feeling other or feeling not a part of what's going on in society, because this is what love means, this is what romance means. And I'm not a part of that. I'm a part of uplifting people. I'm a part of helping people feel loved, including myself. And so that's what it means to me. What can I do to bring more love into the world on this day, including for myself?
I love
That is
that.
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that actually brought up for me when you were talking about bringing love to all these different people in your life, this experience I had in college, it showed up in my awareness the other day that I remembered that. I was like, oh, right. Yeah, that experience. I guess it's just the time of the year, but I had this friend in college. He brought a bunch of flowers on Valentine's Day and was just giving them to people, like one to each person. And I knew he didn't mean it in a romantic way, but like, I was just remembering, I think that's one of the few times in my life that I've truly blushed really, really hard, just because it's caught me off guard, this acknowledgement and this being seen, and this, someone declaring like, hey, you deserve like this little bit of love and this connection here and this token of appreciation. So I agree that that's so important to be a source of that, whether it's, on a particular day because of this acknowledgement of how hard like this day can be for people who don't have a romantic relationship or that sort of one-on-one connection, or whether it's every day and just in a different way throughout the year, whatever calls to you and how that evolves and unfolds throughout the year. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Bruce.
Let's see, how long has Valentine's Day been commercialized? I used to write the ads for Valentine's Day I used to work for Montgomery Ward, which is a big retailer from the past. And it was really hard to write a Valentine's Day ad for when I was working for tires, but we managed to do that. Romantic, don't let your loved one's skin into the dish, whatever, get new tire treads. I think it's been romanticized at least. I remember when I was like in grade school, kids would pass out Valentine's Day cards. And some kids would get a lot of cards and some kids would get a few cards. And one year I got one card and I got really excited and I opened up and it wasn't signed. And I felt crushed. I said, somebody sent me a Valentine and it wasn't signed. So I guess that my skepticism of the whole holiday and some of the commercialism around it may have some deep psychological roots there. And I only confirmed some of that stuff later on in my research, but there we go with the commercialism. It's been going on a long time.
Bethany, what calls to you about this question? What has your experience been of Valentine's Day? What does it mean to you?
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Bruce and elementary school. Everybody getting Valentines around me and me not getting any, and that kind of set me up for this thing where, oh my gosh, my life is over if no one's getting me a Valentine. And I noticed that even now, as I walk through the store on Valentine's Day, I get like a little bit sad, like, look at all these pretty cute little things and no one loved me enough to give me one. But I had a real kind of watershed moment just recently. And I thought, well, why should I wait for someone else to get me a Valentine? And I went and I bought my own, and I was just so excited to get this, to have my own Valentine that I brought myself, and that gave me a real feeling of power. It sounds silly, but just getting that myself. And I bought myself a huge chocolate heart full of chocolate, and I shared it with my friends. So so well, it's not yet Valentine's Day, but this Valentine's Day has been a lot more positive just than some of the other ones. And yet I still am finding myself wanting somebody else to give me something. That actually puts me in mind women's magazines. You kind of look at them and they're almost designed to make you feel sad because you don't look like the people in the picture. And now I'm looking at Valentine's Day kind of the same way, with the same kind of commercialism and almost a design to make you feel sad rather than to make you feel loved and wanted. I'm really gonna go hard with Bruce's healthy relationship holiday, because I think that's so much better. So I'm looking forward to that next year, not Valentine's Day, but Healthy Relationship Day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I agree that it's definitely like, when we think of healthy relationships, like really the root of that, it starts with our relationship with ourselves. For me, around this time last year, I found, and it wasn't a new concept then either, but like I kind of discovered this thing called like self-marriage, which was just, and I found this beautiful self-connection program called self-marriage ceremonies. But so if anyone wants to look that up, but it basically is this 10-week thing, and it takes you through, these different ways of connecting with yourself, relating with yourself, and shining a light on all those shadow aspects, the things that trigger us around relationships, around maybe what we have or haven't gotten. And I led that up to my birthday, and then I had that celebration of myself on my birthday in this sort of on this new level, this new layer of connecting with myself. And so I think that's really cool that you shared that experience of like that shift for you, Bethany, of like, oh, I realized I can give myself that. And yeah, those feelings are still going to be there of, well, it would be nice if I got it from someone else too. So I can really relate to that as well. But that's what came up for me when you mentioned that, Bethany. It was like, yes, there's so much out there to explore about love with ourselves and with our friends. And that's why I love Bruce's renaming Healthy Relationship Day. It means so many things. What about you, Mary? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, a couple things as you guys have been talking. For me, generally, I don't like holidays generally because there's an expectation.
Bruce, thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the expectation is out there that, you're supposed to do some big fantastic thing for your spouse, and it's usually the expectation that the husband is supposed to do something for the wife, and and so it's all binary, and it's like, oh yeah, if you don't give them flowers and chocolates and do some big fantastic date, then your relationship is not good. And I've known people who have done that, but their spouse didn't like it, or their whoever they were dating or whatever. That's not what they wanted. So it turned into a big, horrible, stupid thing, even though they're doing the expectation, but it didn't have the result. And it brings me back to love languages. Like, I don't really like gifts. So, I mean, and I would love it if someone would give me flowers once a year when they felt like giving me flowers, not because the date on the calendar says you're supposed to give flowers. I don't really like them all the time, but very generally I like it. But not because somebody else told you to.
Yeah, no compulsory gift giving.
Yeah, it just gives me a bad taste in my mouth. And plus, with this expectation, then if it doesn't come out just right, that you have someone in the first place to do these things for you, romantic love in your life, or they don't do it the way that your expectation is aligned with, then then it's a really bad day. And it's like, that's a total construct that our society has created that makes a lot of people feel really bad right now, which is sad because it should, yeah, I like the idea of the healthy relationship day. It should be celebration of love and connection, like Suze was saying. And I remember one Mother's Day, my mom sent me a mother's card, and I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews, and I have a family. So that's gonna make me emotional. But anyway, I like that. It doesn't have to just be a romantic partner. It's a connection, celebration.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
mixed feelings about this day and how it affects people mostly negatively in my experience, honestly. So which is really sad to me.
Yeah.
I'd like to rewrite it.
Yes. Redefine.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. We're doing it right now.
And something that occurred to me when you were speaking, Mary, was there can be, at least from my experience, it reminded me of that. Like, for example, growing up, my dad would get me flowers. And there was sort of this added expectation. So it's not just, oh, they're giving you a gift, they're giving you something nice. Well, then there's this unspoken contract. And I know we've referred to this a bit on the podcast before, but that there's sort of this unspoken rule of like, well, then I have to show appreciation in a certain way, or I have to receive it in a certain way.
Or you
because
did it
otherwise
once,
I'm not grateful, or
yeah. Or it happened once, so it always has to be that way, or you have to top it next year,
yeah. There's all these unspoken like agreements that kind of happen.
Yeah.
And that's definitely that shadow side for sure.
Yeah. Plus, I kind of want to go back to what Bruce was saying, that relationships are drama. I want to emphatically deny that, because good relationships should be easy. It's when there's unmet expectations and when things are not being communicated well or going wrong, that's when it's drama. That's when it's not a healthy relationship. So I think it should be easy. And we need to keep looking for those where we can find that. I don't think relationships need to be drama. What do you guys think?
I saw Bruce unmuted, so I know he wants to say something.
Yeah.
I think if you play the tape back, I will say that romance is drama.
Oh,
not
I'm
relationships.
sorry. I'm sorry. I remembered it wrong.
Okay.
Yes, romance can be drama. Absolutely.
Well, the reason that romance is drama is because if this is your soulmate, they always know what you're thinking. They always know everything about you and what your needs are, and they anticipate them in advance because they're somehow your magical other pair, and you don't have to communicate clearly, and you can just have these expectations of the other person, and they will magically meet them because they know your deepest soul. No, it's not really the case. So if we believe that of another, if we believe, actually the original definition of romance is fiction. And in a lot of cases, they still call novels romances because they're fiction.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that is true about romance. There is definitely, this urge toward, there's the lustful reproductive urge and attraction towards another person. And that's part of why we're all here. But it's not a long-lasting thing, because if people kept going like that after they had a baby, well, they would never have time to take care of the baby.
Yeah, I loved your article that you wrote, Bruce, and maybe we can post that in the description. Like, you address all of these things.
Yeah. So,
especially the attachment aspect as well. Really
right. So there's a lot about romance that's very good to keep the species going, but it's not really great for healthy long-term relationships.
It's not practical.
How do you define romance? What do you mean by that? Oh, you're muted.
According to Joseph Campbell, the romance started with the troubadours. This is an idea that started in Provence, France, around the 12th century. And the earliest text says, "So through the eyes, love attains the heart, for the eyes are the scouts of the heart. And the eyes go reconnoitering for what it would please the heart to possess. And when they are in full accord and firm, all the three in one resolve, at that time, perfect love is born. So it's basically the beginning of the objectification of the other in service of
That's what I was just thinking.
perfect love. So that's the origin of the idea of romantic love right there.
Mm.
So it's like a
That's all.
perversion of love, almost, like,
Pretty
and from my
much.
perspective.
Yeah, it's up for
All about
reevaluation.
all about what it looks like, right? What it looks like to other people mostly.
I really like the way Rupert Spear puts love as a recognition of oneness. And obviously romance is not that, it's almost the opposite. It's like there has to be this other and sort of this like external fantasy that's being played out.
Kind of like the age of chivalry when it was all about kneeling at the lady's feet and getting the little wispy handkerchief, and that was the height of romantic love, and you could live on that for years.
Mhm. Exactly. The two came at exactly the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
Even the Bible has romance, right? The Songs of Solomon.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's definitely a part of well, for me, like in my energy medicine studies, we studied myths and mythology and how that informs our existence, and that's definitely a big one with so many facets. What is love? What does love look like? And this idea of incompleteness and being incomplete without that fantasy being played out.
And I really hate to make it a binary thing, but I feel like a lot of the romantic expectations are put on men, that they're supposed to do some big, huge thing for the women in their lives, and the women are just supposed to sit back and expect it.
Well,
I don't
actually,
like.
also it's like women's part, if you will, in that fantasy is to be worthy of receiving that. So then there's this implication that if you aren't receiving that you're somehow not worthy of it.
Yeah, that is a thing.
But then it's like, well, what is it we're striving to be worthy of? Because I want to just be seen. And when you're having to play out this fantasy, like you're not being seen, you're only being seen through a particular lens that's very like tunnel visioned almost in some ways.
Yeah. Is anything coming up for you guys, Caesar, Bethany?
Yeah, I know Blaze wants to add something, right?
Yeah, Blaze.
I always have something to say. Well, it's something I continue to explore for myself. And back to what I was saying earlier, to me, it is a really personal thing. Back to, we have different love languages, and again, back to expectations. That's really where we get ourselves confused, because there are ways that we like to express love and receive love. And it's different for everybody, but there are certainly things that are more in what we would call more masculine psyche and what are more in feminine psyche. And we all have that within each of us. And I think we get it confused with gender, and we can't just put that on, that this is all women, this is all men, or however you identify. And the bottom line is it's very personal, and however you're relating, whether it's with a friend, with a significant other, whatever, to discover that with each other. What is romance for us? How do we like to engage with each other and show love? And certainly there's the things that happen in the courting or initially getting to know each other phase. And it doesn't have to be on any particular person. But if you have a preference for that, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just being really clear about that, like just owning it. Like, okay, I really like it when a man opens the door or, does certain chivalrous things. That feels good to me. I like to be honored. So part of that's just something about me, but I like that from anyone. It's just part of my persona. I like to be acknowledged. So there is something in my love language that likes to be adored and acknowledged. And so I just got to own that and not make myself wrong about that. And if you know you have an expectation, like just share it then. because it's going to come out anyways. It's always going to be beneath the surface if you're really wanting that. It's not a have to, but it really like warms my heart sometimes, but like in that surprising way, like you said, I think Mary, you were saying like once a year, send me flowers, like do it because you want to, it's more of that. Like I just want experiences with people in my life where they're showing themselves through their heart and I'm showing myself through my heart. And that's, to me, romantic. That is, to me, soulmate and soul connection. You can have soulmates that are not your significant other. And I think we really have a lot of confusion and we haven't really pulled it all apart of what are we really talking about here? What are we really going for in our connections? And to define that, to really further define that, and it's going to be different. And so if you're not talking that through and communicating that with your partners or friends or whomever you're relating with, yeah, there's going to be a lot of hurt and confusion and expectations and all of that. And but I think there's nothing wrong with having special things that you do for each other, because especially if it's a longer term relationship, to like treat it. So part of how I treat it, I call it charm. Okay, so treating each day as you're brand new. Okay, so I'm compassionate with you, I'm honest. So charm, breaking it down, compassionate, honest, and real in the moment. So every day,
I love that. Yeah,
I'm creating a new relationship with you because I'm different and continuing to grow, and you're different and continuing to grow. I don't care if I've known you 20 years. You're new today. Who are you today? And so that to me is the ultimate in romance and intimacy and connection, is when we can be with each other in that way, continue to have that curiosity, continue to be that we want. And I think Bethany touched on this too, like being that, be that loving person for myself means I can be that for others.
is anything
thank
coming
you.
up for you, Bethany, that you wanted to add on to that?
I've loved all the shares. I really have, and I've connected with a lot of different things. I'm actually coming out of a 30-year relationship, so kind of all my cards are up in the air, and I'm all learning all new things now. The one thing that stood out to me about longer relationships, it's more important. These little times when you're supposed to show love, they're more important in a way, because that's a time to say, hey, I still want to be with you. I'm still expressing, I see you and you're valuable to me. And so, yeah, and I'm the kind of person that likes those demonstrations, those little things, those big things. Oh, and the last thing, opening doors is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I don't like it. I've been known to stand and hold a door for a guy and get in a fight because he won't walk through it. But be that as it may, I know somebody that's important to me that loves to hold the door for me. And in that regard, it's more of an act of love for me to walk through the door than to argue about it in any way. So I guess there's just a lot of different ways that you can show people. So that's my share.
Yeah, and I'm just like, whoever gets there first should hold the door. Why does that have to be a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some conversations about it too with people. Like, what? Interesting. Why that has come to be a symbol of chivalry, of like, I have to hold the door for you.
Yeah, I believe, I'm sorry, I believe that I've read where it's actually, if you're in a group with a boss and employees, the boss always holds the door.
Mm.
And in that regard, I kind of feel like it's a power play in a way. So that's another thing about doors that I think of.
Yeah, interesting.
You ever walk up to a door with a group of people and like waiting for one person to be the one to open the door?
I just open it.
I know that you,
Like,
Mary,
I
you're
know how
very
to
like,
open
I'm gonna
doors.
do this.
I'm not gonna wait. Yeah.
Well, the bigger thing I want to point out that's underneath all this, because it's not really about the door opening.
Right.
It's the meaning we all put behind what
Mhm.
that is.
And
So,
different
like,
people have different meanings they put on it, right?
yes, because it's evolved over time for me too. And finally, I just ultimately like, of course, I can, and I do open my own door, and I do open it for others. And it is specific. It's specific to the context. Like Bethany said, if it's someone loving and that's a way they like to show they're loving to you,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't mean anything to me that they are or are not chivalrous or are or are not anything. It's them expressing their love, and it can be in little gestures like that. And I don't want to make a big deal out of it because I can open my own door. Like, yes, I can, but I don't have to make a point of that. It's interesting behind everything and all of this. And Valentine's Day is just like the epitome of many things in our culture where we make up stories of the best way to be in relationship or the best way to operate or to give or show love. And there is no, like, it's just highlighting our expectations and meanings we put on things.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I really only have a problem with it when it's the people who want to sit there and argue with me about it. Like, I have to open the door for you. I'm like, I don't want to argue about this. It's a stupid little thing.
Yeah,
But anyway,
exactly.
yeah,
At that
it's
point, I
one
just let it go. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that with you.
of those little symbols that has gotten to me more than it should.
Let's get more
Yeah.
nerdy with this. So
Yeah.
Gita has some really great questions, and one that's standing out to me is, what does it look like dating as a nerd? I know here we like to say everyone's a nerd about something. So how does that play into connection and relationships? That there are these special interests that we have. So maybe they might be something that can increase connection, or maybe it might be something that sort of impedes that connection process, or it's something that strengthens a relationship because you can share it together. Like what does everyone think about that? What are your thoughts that come up around nerdiness and relationships?
Yeah, I actually have something. It's what's coming up for me while you were talking was like, when do you reveal your nerd?
Yes.
Your
When do you
nerd
let your nerd
obsession.
flag fly?
Yeah, because sometimes you can connect over whatever your special interests are, but like, I'm a sex educator. I have a shirt from Reed Mahoko that says sex geek on it. So like, if I wear that can turn off a lot of people. But when they find out, like, some people, if they can stay long enough, they find out the way that I do it is about education and helping people connect and doing relationships. And it's like, just seeing the word sex geek might give people the wrong impression. But I love that shirt. I think it's fun. And yeah, it's so hard for me personally, I've just had a struggle of like, where's the line? Like, I met a guy online, and he told me the first time we met that he's a nudist. And at the time, it was kind of a shock to me. I was like, well, you shouldn't tell people that first off. But now looking back on it, I'm like, he did it right. That is very important to his lifestyle and meeting new friends. They need to know that if that's a deal breaker or not. And I'm like, I really appreciate that he was so free and good like that. And I would like to figure out a way to do that too. Like, but you gotta ease into relationships too. So it's like, where is it? How do you find that line or the right place to share your obsession? Yeah, I'm still struggling.
You're still struggling with knowing when
Mhm.
to be open about that.
when to show people, or even when to tell people that I love red dwarf, because I've actually found some other dwarfers by sharing it, you know.
Yeah,
It is
even
a
on this
super-
podcast, when you
yeah,
didn't share it.
it's a super geeky, dumb British, really stupid comedy, space opera, but I love it. So yeah, and I found some interesting people, and other people are just like, what the heck? Like, okay, you're not my people. That's good to figure that out.
Yeah, that was really interesting that you just said that. Because there can definitely be like a lot of empowerment in saying, well, you're just not my people. But then, you know, there's also the other side of that, of, okay, so if this person is not my people in that regard, like they're my people in some way because the universe has put us on each other's paths somehow. So like there must be something to learn, something for us to teach each other, connect about. And at least for me, that's been a big source of growth in terms of connecting with others and in this work and in this training and all these experiences is like, you know, leaning into that, almost that feeling when you feel sort of a disconnect, leaning into the awkwardness of that or like the uncomfortableness of that. So, but I do love that, you know, well, they're just not my people. That like sparked something in me and it's like, oh yeah, I want to touch on that more. But okay, who wants to speak next to this? I keep like noticing these micro expressions in certain times, and then I'm like, oh, I'll talk to them, and then by the time that transition point
Move
happens,
on.
and it's yeah.
Yeah, you guys put your hand up or just speak out if there's something you want to say. Yeah, please. Anyone?
Sure, I'll go.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Something
yes,
I mean, I can come up with something to say. So, yeah, what do I want to say here? I like what you said, Mary, about like when do I show this t-shirt of mine that's really something that's important about you, and just like the nudist guy and all that, like sooner rather than later, frankly, because otherwise who am I? What avatar am I presenting to this person? Because they're gonna, again, first impressions, you know, kind of determine whether we're gonna be friends, date, whatever. Why not? Why not put it all out there? I mean, certain things, maybe not on a first date or first encounter. I mean, you don't have to go diving deep into everything, but it just depends where you're at in your journey and what you're going for in that conversation. But I'd rather share more things than not. Because otherwise, why am I holding back? You know,
Yeah.
And do I want them holding back? So it's kind of that. I mean, the more vulnerable, but again, it's context. Everything is context of why we share things or why we don't, because not everyone gets to know all of our inner precious things, you know. And not everyone wants to know that. So it's knowing that too, knowing your audience and is this the right time to share this? But yeah, regarding dating, I'd rather know key things. I mean, there's a reason why we have, if it's online, profiles and things of that nature, because we want to know these things. But ultimately, to me, it still comes down to the conversation, whether it's in person or on a phone or Zoom or whatever. What am I feeling as I'm engaging with this person? You know, am I feeling natural and being myself? Am I feeling like I need to hold back? And what's that about? Why am I holding back?
I think it goes back to charm.
Yes.
I really like that acronym.
That's
like, am I being
exactly
authentic? Am I being compassionate in this moment? Yeah.
Right. Just this moment, who am I right now? Not who I think I'm gonna be. I mean, you can talk about this is the vision for who I am, but all right, I do yoga, you know, 3-4 times a week. Am I really doing that right now? Or am I just saying that because that's something good to say or what I aspire to? You know, it's like, no, what am I really into right now? What's really alive in me right now? What's really alive in them? And, you know, just being present to this moment. So my thing is to, like, when I'm in conversation with people, if it's dating, okay, because we're talking about dating, like, not, again, back to those expectations of where are we going with this? Where is this going? What do we want? I feel like we get too quickly into that, defining what it is. What it is right now is we're sitting and having tea and we're having a conversation. That's what it is right now. That's all it is, ever, in any moment. And it doesn't matter if we're going to be in a relationship or whatever. Like, what is it right now? Are we enjoying this? Okay, let's keep talking.
Much freer.
Yeah. And it's a process, because I get back to, again, what we in society have put on, well, you need to be getting into a relationship, and then it needs to look like this. Again, back to the binary, it's not the same for all of us and how we want to be. Not everyone wants to be committed or married or whatever it is. And just know what it is for you. And it changes at different times of your lives. I've gone through a lot, all the different stages and many times over. So I've had a lot of experience and I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day. And that's why charm gives me the most peace, because I can let myself be new again. Just because I've had a lot of experience, if you will, doesn't mean there isn't a lot for me to still learn, because it's different now. Like Bethany was saying, you be in a long-term relationship, which I had been at one point, or many different points over the course of my life. And it's different. You come out and you're like, oh, how does this all work now? How do I, relate? How do I do this now? And especially after 30 years, Bethany, yeah, it's different. You're certainly different, And so now what? What do I need now? Because a lot happens in 30 years of a life. It's not going to look the same as when I dated before that. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to really okay, what do I want now? I don't know what I want. And that's okay to say. I don't know what I want now, but I would like to have this conversation with you.
And I liked what you touched on before, because I think that's a good way to explain or describe what nerdiness is like what makes you feel alive. And so that really is the crux of how do I want to share myself with someone or share an experience with someone? It's what is it that makes me feel alive?
Right.
And it just shows up in so many ways. So what about you, Bruce? What do you have to say about nerdiness and relationships and connection?
The question you brought up was about nerdiness and dating, which kind of throws me way into the past, because this past week I've been with the same person, same woman, for 31 years. And I haven't been doing much dating during that time. If I go in the Wayback Machine, at the time, I was assigned to write a 10-minute musical for a new tuners theater in Chicago. And my partner and I decided to write one about personal ads. So I thought I would do some research. So I wrote a personal ad. And I said I was looking to meet somebody who enjoys the humor of Albert Brooks, the Mahler symphonies, and enjoys going to live theater, because these are all things I was into at the time. And they got, you had to write a letter to a post office box back then in order to get a reply. And I got 3 replies. I went to see a fun show with one person. Okay, whatever. Went to see a good show with a second person. We really connected. And the third person I've been with for 31 years. So that's 33% success rate there. I shared my nerdiness right from the beginning.
I would have answered that ad, Bruce.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Mary.
I'll have to write a new one, but
yeah. Well, you only need, a lot of people will say you only need one, right? It only takes one for some people. So that's great. You have a success. Yeah. And I think our culture is telling us that don't be who you are. Be Paris Hilton. Be Britney Spears. Be Justin Timberlake. You can't be who you are, because nobody's going to like who you are. And I hate that message.
And definitely with social media, that's even more exacerbated. It's there needs to be kind of this cultivated persona that's going to, be interesting to other people and be accepted.
Well, and it's a failing strategy, because if you do that, pretend to be someone else to get someone to like you, they like that mask, and then you can't keep that up forever. that mask is going to come off at some point, and they'll see the real you, and then they're not in love with that person. So it's a failing strategy. So it's really sad that we do that. So yeah, sharing your nerdiness up front, I think, is a great idea.
Well,
Do you
and
have
just,
anything to share,
yeah.
Bethany?
oh, can I just comment on the authentic piece of why that worked for Bruce? Because again, right up front, he was who he was. He created the appropriate avatar for someone to connect with them, you know? So instead of creating this whole fake persona, like we were saying, of an avatar, we're wasting each other's time. It's two different fake people meeting each other. So there's no relationship there. So I loved that. It was an awesome demonstration of that, Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that my dating life of 30 years ago is wildly different than now. And I'm just, as I meet people, that's just me. Here I am, with all my messy nerdiness. And I can't be any other way. So the people that are not right there with me are not really there. You know, they just, and I feel like it, when I'm talking to people, the nerdiness just comes out, you know. Then we're talking about Red Dwarf, then we're talking about sci-fi, then we're talking about gardening, or different, you know, the things that we love. So those are the relationships and the conversations that I like to be in. So I won't expand on that because I think we have some more questions.
Yeah, we've got more questions. How do you guys think like cuddling and touch therapy can help people with like romantic life and loneliness, or can it be useful like for people who maybe don't have what they want on this holiday? What do you guys think?
I'll go. I think that's partially what got me into cuddling, because again, end of a long-term relationship. I was in a 12-year partnership. Love touch. That's one of my love languages. So really words of affirmation, touch. And I found out about cuddling. And to me, that felt the safest way to re-enter back into the dating world. And I wasn't even going there for dating. I just was going there for connection. And to me, that's an awesome way to meet someone for the first time, because you have a controlled environment, you know, somebody's facilitating it. You're having a chance to ask real questions, safety around with other people, and even explore touch if you're open to that and that experience. And to me, I was and am, and it was just a great way to work on what my yeses and nos are, and what's true for me now. And without all the, again, back to romantic and drama and things, expectations that come around dating, you just get to know somebody. And that's it. I mean, you're just being there present, and it's amazing how close you can come to total strangers in that environment. And it's been beautiful to witness when I've been holding space for it, and I've had my own experiences, but it was a wonderful way for me to come back into what it is to be out in the world and connect with people. And I was so grateful to find cuddling that way. And it's reframed how I want to know and connect people, because I want intimacy. That's always what I've been going for all along. All my relationships, that's always been the underlying thing. Can you go deep with me? Can you have real conversations with me? And if you can't, I just got less and less interested. I'd rather not engage at all. You know, I don't want the small talk. And touch and eye gazing and doing the things that we do in cuddle experiences, like there's no hiding there. You're bringing your full self.
Yeah, a lot of us do try to hold group events around this holiday for people who are wishing they could just have a hug or have somebody see them and acknowledge them and say hello. You know, yes, you're you are a person and you are worthy and people want to be close to you. Let's reaffirm that. And so, yeah, cuddle events are great for that if people are ready for them, I think. Although I've actually been kind of surprised at low turnout when I've held cuddle events around this holiday in the past.
It's
Yeah.
scary, you know,
Yeah.
because you have to be willing to look at your experience, to like be fully present with it, and not distract, because that's like, at least for my experience, like that's the biggest part of being at a cuddle event, is you have to get really present. And you know, that's very necessary in holding strong boundaries for yourself, and you know, having that respect for others' boundaries and navigating them together. And you have to be in very good communication and continual communication, and that can feel really scary when there's that experience of loneliness and like not being used to connecting, and being so present on that level. So I think that, at least to me, is occurring, is why that might be there might be like avoidance of those events, even though the loneliness is there.
And we do have multiple colleagues that are holding events around this holiday. So if you guys are listening to this and you need a hug, please go find an event and get a hug, or find a professional cuddler in your area, or you know what, even ask a friend. I bet they want a hug too.
Mhm.
That would be
Well-
my invitation.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bruce is
so
saying,
you mentioned about I was just gonna mention the specific ones
Oh.
going on. Like I know on actual Valentine's Day, Keely and Jean are doing one in LA on Valentine's Day. And then also I know Grace has one coming up
Mhm.
as well at the end of the month.
And Crystal in
Crystal in
Philadelphia,
Pittsburgh,
or Pittsburgh, sorry,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Crystal in Pittsburgh has one coming up next weekend, I believe, next.
Mm.
yeah.
Yep, and there's one in Salt Lake sometime this month. I don't know exactly, but
Yeah.
very soon. So
So
yeah.
yeah, so we'll
And-
post those or
and
look
Bruce,
for
did
it
you
on the
wanna add?
Nurtured Nerds
Yeah.
site.
Yeah. And Bruce, did you want to add to that?
I think we're talking about cuddling and intimacy, is it basically, or
Yeah.
Oh,
just
how
wanna
the
how that
cuddling
fits
can
into the
help
whole thing.
dating.
I will
Yeah.
tell you that I used to have a job as a cuddle crash test dummy, which meant that my friend Sam Hess has trained a lot of professional cuddlers, and most of her clients were male, and every once in a while they would have like a male training as a professional cuddler, and it was just because of the weird dynamic of heteronormative behavior. It was hard to find a volunteer to cuddle with this person. So the first time she asked me to be a practice participant for a professional cuddler was a man. And I was like, wow, that's weird. I've never cuddled with a man before. And there's what's coming up for me? Why would I not do this? And since then, it's just, I've gotten to meet so many people that I never would have met, learn their story. And it was a really interesting challenge of learning to get completely comfortable sharing about yourself, learning about the other person in like 30 minutes. So this nervous person who's training in this weird new profession can be comfortable enough to be with you in a close way within 30 minutes. And I just found that a fascinating growth opportunity for me. And just being able to get on the same page with another person so quickly so that they would be comfortable with you. And I just found that was an invaluable skill. And a lot of it has to do with, I remember one session where someone was asking, we were doing the variations on the 36 questions to create closeness. And she said, one question I always like to ask somebody is, what's the worst thing you ever did? We're just cuddling, it's not going to go beyond this room. So I really tried to come up with an answer. And I shared that, and we both laughed hysterically afterwards. But I just said, "Don't tell anybody, or I'll have to kill you." But it was a really nice shared moment, and I've had so many moments like that where you just have complete freedom to be who you are in the situation because you got the oxytocin and the connection flowing, and it's just wonderful training for like being in the world and being comfortable around people.
Great. I'd like to ask if you guys have any strategies that maybe have worked for you, or maybe you don't need this, but for people who do struggle with this holiday, maybe they don't have the relationship or the romance that they want. What might be a way to get your romantic or your connection needs met? What strategies would you guys recommend for folks? Have any advice?
Gonna go with the buy yourself cards and candies and take yourself out for a date. I mean, that sounds, I guess it's been said before, but I really found that it was pretty powerful in my instance to just realize that I could give myself what I was wanting so much to get.
Yeah, one thing I like to do is write yourself a love letter. And I found one that I wrote like 5 years ago in my journal. I just came across it again. I was like, this is awesome.
Yes.
So, yeah, what you want to hear from other people, you can tell it to yourself.
And that's what I loved about the self-marriage ceremonies program, is that it's full of those kind of exercises of relating with yourself, loving yourself, connecting with yourself. And really delving into what your needs are and just these different aspects of you that maybe aren't getting held and loved. And it's just so, I don't know, freeing, I guess, that it's like I'm not having to wait around for someone else to see me. Like I get to see me, and then I get to be seen. And for me, that was just a huge shift. Really committing, like for 10 weeks, I'm going to give this to myself. Because 10 weeks is a long time. So, but it was so worth it. It was one of the best things I've ever done. So even if you don't do that particular thing, like there's a million ways that you can do this for yourself. So.
Well, one thing I'm sorry, one thing that just came up is that I'm committed to myself for the rest of my life. I'm here, you know, exactly. So I'm going to be with me forever. So 10 weeks isn't that long in that situation.
Yeah.
Bruce?
Like Mary, I'm not a big fan of holidays, but I looked up the alternate holidays for February 14th. And it happens to be Extraterrestrial Culture Day. You can celebrate that. Extraterrestrial Visitor Day.
Oh, yeah.
It's National Call-In Single Day. So you can call in single for work.
Nice.
Very good. Very good.
Well, some of these get pretty dark. Oh, Quirky Alone Day. Something really quirky.
Yeah.
And it's also, if you're in Arizona, it's Arizona Statehood Day. So knock yourselves out, folks. There's lots of things you can do.
Yeah.
What I love about that is like, it's just making light of life, you know, like let yourself be quirky, let your weird or freak flag shine. I mean, it's just having fun with it. Like, you know, go out with your friends, you know, and just have it. That's what I used to do. One of my favorite Valentines is we went to our favorite Greek restaurant and we just like had a great time together, me and a couple of my longtime girlfriends. And it was one of the best Valentines ever, you know? So it's like, just create it. Again, we've all said it in different ways, but you know, don't let things outside of you, holidays, big ones, but anything, determine who you want to be and how you want to treat yourself. Like, fine, if you want to go out to dinner, go out to dinner. If you want to be at home and take a bath and have a glass of wine, do that, you know. If you want to go to the movies and watch, you know, whatever, your favorite movie and enjoy that on your own, do that. Like just give yourself the freedom, the permission, like, guess what? I'm going to do what I want. Love that other people are doing these things. And that doesn't matter. That doesn't determine, you know, how I get to choose. But like really enjoying it. That to me is the ultimate, when you can get to that point where I'm not just doing this in response or counter response to, but because I really want to, and I really value myself to give that to myself.
Another one I wanted to put out there, as someone who games a lot and has a lot of friends that don't live near me, is I definitely have some friends, either through Discord or other places, that are just saying, you know, I'm going to show up in this voice channel, and anyone who wants to show up and hang out with me, and maybe we'll play some games or just talk on Valentine's Day, like I'm showing up for that. And so I think that is it can be a really powerful one. If there's not any events or anything happening in your area that call to you, like, be the person that shows up and says, I'm going to offer this, I'm going to show up. And even if no one else shows up, like, you showed up for you. So you can make it whatever you want to make it. There's no limit to it. Like Valentine's Day, like that definition can put a lot of limitations on how the day is supposed to be spent, but you get to choose.
Yeah. I was thinking something similar while you guys were talking of, like, you know, we all want somebody to come to us and do something for us, but that means somebody has to take the initiative. So we can take the initiative. If we don't have the romantic relationship maybe that we desire, we can still contact our friends. We can talk to our parents, our family, or, you know, children, and we can reach out to people. You have people in your life that would love to hear from you on this holiday, I'm sure. So it's an option. Yeah, this has been fun, you guys. We're getting close to the end of our time, though.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that any of you want to add before we do just a general, like, you know, how to reach out, contact, website or email, any of that stuff, before we do the housekeeping kind of stuff?
Anything you've left unsaid that you feel called to say?
Bruce.
I just wanted to share that, you know, we're looking for something to replace romance with. Intimacy is wonderful. Frientimacy is a triangle of vulnerability, consistency, and positive interactions. And one of my favorites comes from, you know, the ancient Indian tradition of it's metta, which is like love every person as if they're your own special precious child. Have compassion when they're going through suffering. Be willing to go through them with it. Share in their joys of their accomplishments, their goals being met, and all of their happiness. And the last one is equanimity, because, like, know that things are not always going to be a certain way, and there's nothing, know what you can change, what you can, and have wisdom about it. So those are my 4 favorite kinds of love.
Awesome.
Oh. How are you guys feeling? How's everybody feeling?
Great.
Go ahead.
Great, great. I love this discussion. I really appreciating everyone, including Gita in the background there, for bringing this podcast together. And just, I'm really appreciating all of us and just what we're bringing to the forefront, so people can start to consider there are different ways to celebrate holidays in general. We just happen to be talking about Valentine's Day because it's present in our culture right now, but this applies to everything, you know. And just really my wanting for everyone to find these different levels of way to to connect and not be so tied into culture or one way of finding intimacy, romance, connection.
And for people who maybe are feeling lonely around this time, I just want to say, I know it can be a little bit of work, but there are people out there that are waiting for you.
Yeah. Lots of people who want to cuddle with you or meet you, and you won't know until you show up for it, right? I think that's been a big thing for me, is that willingness to show up. So you never find out what can be there if you're not showing up. Maybe it's just showing up in whatever experience is there for you. So maybe that is just being with yourself for a day, and just because you're special, like no one else can live the life that you are here to live. No one else can experience the experience that's here for you through your body, your mind, your soul. Like there's this flow of life that's happening, and it's flowing through each of us. And only I can live my life. Only you can live your life, and that in and of itself is beautiful, whether you're sharing it with someone or you're sharing it with yourself. And be in nature, like that's a big one for me, that I always recommend. Wherever you are, if there's some way to connect with nature, with the earth, with plants or animals, like it's very grounding. And just feel the earth under you, feel that rhythm of us flying a million miles an hour through the cosmos. Like we're all a part of it. And just, you're never alone in that sense. Like we're all flowing through the cosmos together, and separate at the same time, but really it all is one. So that's what I have to say to those who are feeling lonely, because that's what I say to myself when I'm feeling lonely.
Thank you, Alyssa. That's beautiful. Okay, well, would you guys like to each share how people can find you? And for those of you that are doing this work stuff, that's all of you, right? Everybody is going to want to find you because we're all awesome. Bethany, do you want to tell us how we can find you if you want to get in touch? You're muted. I know.
Probably email would work well for me. It's Bethany with my name, BETHANY, and the number's 39@hotmail.com. That'd be a good way.
Great, thank you. Bruce?
I'm at patreon.com/Bruce Cantwell, where I'm currently doing a series on life story crafting, writing how to tell the story of your life and sharing my own story. And I think I'm going to be writing about meditation and technology.
Hi.
Sounds awesome.
They still do, what was your campaign of like non-happiness or something? What was it? I'm sorry.
Oh, it was my brand failure was I hate happiness. So I
okay. I wasn't remembering it right. All right.
like when I say I hate romance,
yeah.
It limits your audience.
Yeah, brings you the people you're looking for, maybe. I don't know. Cool. All right, thanks. Suze?
You can find me I do one-on-one cuddling events, as well as soul coaching. So you can reach me at 520-528-3379, or it's susanlee812@gmail.com. Those are the best ways to find me.
Good.
All right. So I think we have a cuddle of the episode. Right, Blaze?
That's right. I was wondering, I'm like, are we doing the cuddle?
Yeah, let's do the cuddle.
Yes, because that's what we're all about here. And this is one of my favorites, but it's very intimate. So this is not usually a first time, just for those that might be new to cuddling. This is not usually one you're going to do for your first cuddle experience, but that doesn't mean you can't. But just giving that intimacy warning. So basically what this cuddle is called Gummy Bear. That's how I know it as. And it's one of my favorites. And it's two people laying down. So you're both laying down on your sides, and we're going to have Alyssa demonstrate here with our love monkeys. So pay attention to the screen as I'm describing this. So they're laying down and they're going to turn towards each other. And they're going to intertwine their legs. So you bring your legs kind of intertwine, and again, bodies are different. So you find your way with your, how your bodies work together. And then also with your arms. So you're intertwining with your arms as well, and adjusting up, down, however your bodies work together. And sometimes you can also like hold hands like in the center with each other too. That can be a way to connect as well, not just arms around, but also arms in the center as you're looking at each other, and hold hands that way. But the thing is, like, it's a chance. The intimate part is you can look into each other's eyes, hold hands, and feel your bodies intertwined together. So it's like finding as much contact as you can with each other, and yet still connecting, and you can speak to each other in soft way. I see Bruce laughing. Are you enjoying the demonstration there?
I love it. Yeah. And you can move your head down too. So you put your ear on their chest if you want to move down a little lower.
Exactly. I love that. Yes. Beautiful. Because part of that too is just like sometimes hearing the heartbeat. For some people that works, some people not. Just again, forewarning, for some people that doesn't work for them. But if that feels nurturing to you, yes, and rubbing the face. So there's a lot of different things you can do in this position, and how.
See, I love it.
Exactly. And you're close. I like when you're facing each other. I like positions where you can have that kind of close, sweet conversation, look into each other's eyes or not, or just really like get the full experience of it.
Yeah, and you had it a minute ago, Alyssa, where you can move as far down on their arm as you want, so you have enough space between your faces, so it's comfortable for whatever works for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet. Thank you so much for demonstrating that. I love the monkey.
Thank you for explaining, Sue. I love it. Yes, and what do people call that position?
Gummy bear.
Oh, a gummy bear.
Gummy bear is what I call it. That's how I know it to be. Some people call it something else, but to me, I like that one because you're being all squishy together, and yet you're kind of stuck together, in some ways. Yeah. So, and it's just fun. It's just a fun name.
Yeah.
I call it a new YouTube channel. I found that very entertaining. I can watch that for hours. Just describing it and putting the monkeys together. That was amazing.
There's all our shorts we need to develop.
Well, I am planning on creating an IRL support main channel, so that could be a playlist on there.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I think some people call it forking. So yeah, that's what I would have called it. I hadn't heard of
You have the two legs and they're like tines of forks.
The legs are together. That's forking. Yeah.
And interlace them. Yeah. And you could do it with your arms too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's lots of the thing about cuddle positions is that we just make up all the names. So you could call it whatever you want. But yeah, sometimes it's good to have a common language too, though. So yeah. But thank you for sharing that one. I love it. All right, we've got some promos. Alyssa, can you share all our promos of how to find us?
All right.
Thank you.
So first of all, we have our website, nurturednerds.com, and we have a Facebook community and also a community project page. So just look for Nurtured Nerds on Facebook, facebook.com/nurturednerds. We have, do we have an Instagram? Does Crystal do the Instagram, Gita?
Oh, we don't have any of those yet,
Don't have
but
it
we have
yet? Okay.
wanted to. So we need you to join us and do our Instagram and our Discord and our Twitch streams.
Yes, I have created the Nurtured Nerds Discord, but I
Oh,
haven't
great.
added anyone yet. I keep sending Gita an invite and then he doesn't join. And then I'm like,
Oh.
well, I have to send you a new one now because it expired. So. But he's so busy making our amazing podcasts. So
Yes,
thank you so
our
much, Gita.
amazing producer and editor, Gita, is behind the
Yes.
scenes making this
And
happen.
soon to have a Twitch stream. Blaze wants to say something.
Oh, there's something else to promote too. We have, I mean, you can talk about Nerd Break for sure, but also I do Dance Break once a month on Sunday evenings at 6 o'clock Pacific.
And what weekend is that on?
That would be the first. It's always the first.
The first Sunday
weekend.
evening.
Yeah, the
Okay.
first Sunday evening of the month.
Pacific time.
Pacific
Okay.
time, 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Great. Blaze leading Dance Break.
Yes, Dance Break. Just come and dance it out with us. I'll be your cuddle DJ, nurtured nerd
Online?
DJ. Yes, online
yes, on
via
Zoom.
Zoom.
Right.
And
Are these
also on
events-
Zoom, third
All right,
Sunday.
do we still have Meetup active, you guys?
I don't know if we've done Meetup. If so, I haven't done it. Like I haven't been the one maintaining it. So. But
We
I
do
just
have
wanted
a
to say
Meetup
third
group.
Sunday. I also
Yeah,
have been
third Sunday.
hosting a nerd break where we go through a card game that has those similar kind of questions, the 36 questions for connection. So that's also at 6 p.m. on Sundays, I believe, or maybe 6:30. I have to actually look at it. And
You guys post the links in Facebook to get on those, right?
yeah, so
In our
it's a
Facebook group.
Facebook event in our Facebook
Yeah.
group. Yes.
Yeah. So join the Facebook group to get the links to get into these,
Mhm.
all these different events for Nerd Break and the card games and the Dance Break. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Alyssa. Go ahead.
Oh no, you wanted to mention about something else, but I just wanted to add that other nerd break first. I know Joe is having one or had one yesterday, so hers are usually the second weekend of the month. Yes.
Nerd Break is a fun time to just connect with this community and play some games or dance or, or just talk with our folks. Definitely a good thing just to show up.
Yes. So we're here to connect and share nerdiness. Pretty much every weekend there's something going on. Or if there's not a nerd break or a dance break, there is some events going on. So just keep in touch with us if you're interested in joining any of those. And there will always be something that you can come to.
Yeah. So the best way to join us is to join the Facebook group Nurtured Nerds and get all the announcements there.
Yes, and Gita says to email nurturednerdsnewbies@gmail.com.
If you have any questions. And you can also find me at marycuddler.com or marycuddler@gmail.com if you have any questions for me. And I know Alyssa is open as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, mine is just nurturednerds@gmail.com.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yes.
We always love to hear from people reaching out.
And of course, we have the new member raffle to win a care package. So all you have to do is join the community and you'll be entered into the raffle. And the loot in that care package is a free 30-minute virtual session with one of the professional cuddlers in our community after you have a screening call with them. And that's just to make sure you're a good fit for each other. So you'll both enjoy the time. We want you to have a virtual session that feels good for you. And we have a free ebook, Mary's book, The Art of Authenticity. Woohoo! We have a gift card for, see, I'm not sure here if we're doing Steam or if it's just, we'll give you a choice of what platform you want that gift card on. I believe that's $25, $20. And also, as always, of course, you can submit a question for our host for the next Nurtured Nerds Epic podcast episode. And by joining our community, we are doing a raid on a course called Jerk Proof Your Relationships, JPYR. And so in this care package, you can get a discount for that course. A very wonderful course, highly recommended. And we hold the raffle about every 3 months. I'm not sure when the next one is. Maybe Gita can let me know.
Coming up soon, because I think it's been a while since we've done one. So join now to get all the fabulous loot.
Soon. Gita just says soon.
Yep.
But we don't have that many new members joining right now. So you will probably win if you join.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. If you want fabulous loot. Now Gita says soon-ish. Okay. So it's flexible, you guys. Please join us if you feel at all called to connect with us and share your nerdiness.
And we've got a YouTube channel where you can access all our past podcasts. So please go check out all the podcasts. Give us likes and comments and subscribes and all the fun things you're supposed to do on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Are we feeling nurtured?
Nurtured? I invite you to
Yes.
hold your arms
Yes.
out and give yourself a hug if you feel inclined.
Yes, yes, yes.
Especially around this time of year, we can give ourselves all the love that we want. That's so cute. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming. See y'all
Yes,
next
thank
time.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Happy, healthy relationships.
Happy healthy relationship day.
Yeah.